Welcome to our next video in the Algebra 2 series, Solving Equations. We're going to do some basic review of things that you should have learned back in Algebra 1 to help get you ready for other topics we'll look at in Algebra 2. First, we want to look at the method to solving an equation. When we solve an equation, our goal is to use inverse operations in order to isolate our variable and find whatever value that variable represents. That number would be known as the solution. And up to now, the inverse operations that you've learned about are that addition and subtraction are opposites, and multiplication and division are opposites. When we solve an equation, it's helpful to follow some kind of steps or pattern that works for most of our equations. For example, I could do my first step as taking care of any distribution. My second step, I can combine like terms on either side of the equation. My third step, I can use my inverse operations to get my variable by itself. And my last step, I can declare the answer. When we do that, we follow a pattern that gives us the answer. Sometimes we're solving equations that have real-world contexts. If we are working with a real-world problem, we want to get into the habit of labeling whatever our answer is. It might use dollars, it might use pounds, it might use centimeters. Whatever it is, we want to start paying attention to that. Because if we are out of that habit, it's possible that we can use math in a way that could cause an accident or even a death. Get into the habit now and you won't have to worry about it later. Moving along, our equations can also have infinite or no solutions. An equation may have infinite solutions if every value for the variable makes the equation true. We'll see that that happens if we get an answer like 3 equals 3 or b equals b. It's a true statement where one thing is equal to itself. That's our clue that we're working with infinite solutions. An equation may have no solutions if there is not a single value for the variable that makes the equation true. And when we're solving equations, we can recognize that if we get an answer like 2 equals 4 or 0 equals 10, where the number is set equal to something that it's not equal to. If that happens, then we have no solutions. After we finish solving an equation, we can check our answer by taking whatever value we got and plugging it back into the original equation. When we plug it back in, if we get a true answer, then we know we found the right one. If we get a false answer, then something has gone wrong and we want to go back and check our steps. We may have forgot a negative sign, we may not have used the right inverse operation, but something has gone wrong and we want to go back and fix it. The last part of what we're going to look at for this video are the literal equations. Literal equations are equations that have two or more variables, and this would be like our formulas, such as the area is equal to the base times the height, or the circumference is equal to 2 times pi times r. These are all examples of literal equations. To solve a literal equation for one of its variables, what we need to do is use the necessary inverse operations to isolate whatever variable we would like to. So if I was doing that for area equals base times height, and I wanted to get b by itself, I would divide both sides by h, the inverse operation for multiplication being division. Now that's the conclusion to our brief review on what we're doing with solving equations. In the next video, what we're going to do is practice equations that have single solutions, no solutions, infinite solutions, as well as literal equations that we'll solve for one variable.